Hi, and welcome to another video of the listening practice series on my channel in English with Lisa. The short stories in these videos are all created and narrated by me. It's my voice you hear, not that of an AI, artificial intelligence program. This listening series is entirely in English, and it's separated in playlists of different levels, from A1 all the way up to C1 and C2. So, let's get started. Grab a notebook for any new vocabulary, get comfortable, and enjoy today's story. Welcome to today's story. Paula in Toronto. Chapter 1. Paula's decision to study abroad. Hi, I'm Paula, and I want to tell you about my story. I am from Brazil. I am 25 years old. I live in Sao Paulo. I want to learn English. For 2 years, I try to learn English at home. I watch many movies. I watch TV shows. I listen to podcasts. I try to read news in English. I use my phone to translate words. I think I am doing good things to learn English. My friend Anna speaks English very well. She talks to me in English, but I do not understand her. I try to talk back, but the words do not come. Anna tells me, "Your English is not good, Paula." I am sad. I work hard, but my English is not good. Why? I think and think. Then I get an idea. Maybe I need to go to a country where they speak English. Maybe I need to live with English all day, not just 1 hour at home. I look on my computer for English schools. I find many schools in the USA, Canada, and England. I choose a school in Toronto, Canada. The school has a program for 3 months. It costs a lot of money, but I save money for a long time. My mom is worried. Toronto is far away, she says. I will be okay, I tell her. I need to do this. I fill out forms. I get a visa. I buy a plane ticket. I am going to Toronto. The day comes. I say goodbye to my family at the airport. I am happy, but also scared. The plane ride is very long. I try to sleep, but I cannot sleep. I am too excited. The plane lands in Toronto. It is cold. In Brazil, it is hot. But here it is very cold. I take a taxi to my new home. I will live with a Canadian family for 3 months. Their name is Smith. They have a nice house. They show me my room. It is small but nice. Dinner is at 6, Mrs. Smith tells me. At dinner, Mr. and Mrs. Smith ask me questions. They talk fast. I do not understand most words. I say yes and no and smile a lot. After dinner, I go to my room and cry. My English is worse than I think. Comprehension questions. Why does Paula decide to go to an English-speaking country? A. Her English teacher recommends it. B. She wants to visit Canada. C. She thinks she needs to live in English all day, not just at home. The correct answer is C. She thinks she needs to live in English all day, not just at home. Number 2. How long does Paula plan to study in Toronto? A. 1 month. B. 6 months. C. 3 months. The correct answer is C. 3 months. Number 3. How does Paula feel after her first dinner with the Smith family? A. Happy and excited. B. Confused but hopeful. C. Sad, realizing her English is worse than I think. The correct answer is C. Sad, realizing her English is worse than I think. Chapter 2. First Days in Toronto. The next day, I go to my new school. It is in the city center. I need to take the subway. The subway is big and there are many people. I am lost. I look at the map, but I don't understand. A woman sees me looking confused. She comes to me. "Do you need help?" she asks. "Yes," I say. "I go to Toronto English School." "Where is? How I go there?" My English is very bad. I feel my face get hot. But the woman smiles. "I know where that is," she says. She talks slowly. "Take this train, get off at Queen Station, then walk 2 blocks east." "Thank you," I say. "You are very kind." "Where are you from?" she asks. "Brazil," I say. "Oh, I love Brazil. I visited Rio once." We talk some more on the train. Her name is Mary. She is a teacher, not an English teacher, but a math teacher. She speaks slowly so I can understand. When I say something wrong, she does not laugh. She listens and tries to understand. When we get to my stop, Mary says, "You are doing well. Learning a new language is hard. Keep trying." I feel better after talking to Mary. Maybe my English is not so bad. At school, there are students from many countries: China, Japan, Mexico, France, and more. The teacher, Mr. Brown, gives us a test to see our English level. The test is hard. I do not know many answers. After the test, we have a break. I get coffee in the student lounge. A girl sits next to me. Her name is Yuki. She is from Japan. How was the test for you? She asks. Hard, I say, very hard. I think my English is very bad. Me too, Yuki says. I studied English for 5 years in Japan, but here I cannot understand people when they talk. I feel better knowing I am not alone. I tell Yuki about my time in Brazil, how I watched movies and translated articles. I did all the right things, I say, but my English is still bad. I am sad. Mr. Brown is getting coffee near us. He hears what I say. He comes to our table. Can I sit with you? He asks. Yes, I say. I hear you are sad about your English, he says. I nod. Yes, I worked hard in Brazil. I watched American movies. I listened to podcasts. But I came here and I cannot talk to people. Mr. Brown smiles. That happens to many students. But you are brave to come here. That is the first step. After break, we go back to class. Mr. Brown does not start the lesson he plans. Instead, he talks about how to learn a language. Today, I want to talk about how to learn English, he says. Many of you do things like watch TV or use translation apps. These are good, but not enough. He writes on the board, reading, listening, speaking. These three things are most important, he says, but not just a little, a lot, every day. Mr. Brown tells us that watching movies is good, but we need to do more. We need to read books in English, even easy books. We need to listen to people talking and try to understand. And most important, we need to speak English, even if we make mistakes. Do not be afraid to make mistakes, he says. Mistakes help you learn. Then Mr. Brown tells us something interesting. Try thinking in English, he says. When you are alone, think your thoughts in English. Say them out loud if you can. This helps your brain get used to English. I never thought about thinking in English before. It is a new idea for me. After class, I go home on the subway. I try to think in English. I am on the subway. I am going home. I am hungry. I will eat dinner soon. At home, Mrs. Smith asks about my day. I try to tell her using more words, not just good or fine. It is hard, but she listens and helps me when I cannot find a word. Comprehension questions. Number 1. Who helps Paula find her way to school on the first day? A. Mr. Brown. B. Yuki. C. Mary, a math teacher. The correct answer is C. Mary, a math teacher. Number 2. What three skills does Mr. Brown say are most important for learning English? A. Writing, reading, speaking. B. Reading, listening, speaking. C. Watching TV, using apps, reading news. The correct answer is B. Reading, listening, speaking. Number 3. What new learning strategy does Mr. Brown suggest that Paula didn't know? A. Reading easy books in English. B. Watching movies without subtitles. C. Thinking in English when alone. The correct answer is C. Thinking in English when alone. Chapter 3. Progress and Success. The next day at school, I talk more with Yuki and other students. We all make mistakes when we speak. Sometimes we laugh at our mistakes. It is okay. Mr. Brown gives us homework. We need to read a short story and then tell the class about it tomorrow. I am scared, but I work hard on my homework. The story is about a girl who moves to a new city. It is a simple story, but some words are new for me. I look them up. I practice telling the story out loud in my room. At night, I call my mom on the phone. "How is Toronto?" she asks in Portuguese. "It is good," I say in Portuguese. Then I try to say some things in English. My mom does not understand English, but I want to practice. "Your voice sounds different when you speak English," she says. "Really?" I ask. "Yes, more confident." This makes me happy. The next day, I tell the class about my story. I make mistakes, but I keep going. Mr. Brown smiles and nods. After class, he tells me, "Good job, Paula. You are improving." 3 weeks pass. I read a little English book every day. I listen to English radio. I talk to my host family at dinner. I think in English when I walk to the subway. Sometimes I even dream in English. One day I see Mary on the subway again. She remembers me. "How is school?" she asks. "It is good," I say. "I'm learning a lot. My English is getting better, I think." "Yes, it is," she says. "You speak more clearly now." We talk about Toronto, about places to visit. I understand most of what she says. When I do not understand a word, I ask, "What does that mean?" Mary explains. At school, I am now friends with many students. We go to coffee shops after class and practice English together. Sometimes we go to movies or museums on weekends. We all make mistakes when we talk, but we understand each other. In my second month in Toronto, Mr. Brown gives us a new test. This test is still hard, but I understand more questions. When I get my result, I see I move up one level. I am very happy. I call my friend Anna in Brazil. Guess what? I say in English. What? She answers in Portuguese. I move up one level in my English class, I say in English. Wow, Anna says. Your English sounds better. I can understand you. Thank you, I say. I'm working hard. Anna and I talk some more, mixing Portuguese and English. It feels good to talk to my friend in a new language. In my third month in Toronto, something amazing happens. I go to a store to buy a gift for my mom. The shop assistant asks if I need help. Yes, I say. I'm looking for a gift for my mom in Brazil. We talk about gifts. The shop assistant shows me different things. We talk about prices and colors. After I buy a nice scarf, I walk out of the store and suddenly realize I just had a whole conversation in English. I did not think about it. The words just came out. I am so happy I jump a little on the sidewalk. A man walking by looks at me strangely, but I do not care. I am speaking English. That night at dinner, I tell the Smith family about my day. I talk more than ever before. Mrs. Smith says, Paula, your English has improved so much since you came here. Thank you, I say. I'm learning a lot from you and from school. But mostly from your hard work, Mr. Smith says. Comprehension questions. Number 1. What happens to Paula after 3 weeks of studying in Toronto? A. She can read entire books in English. B. She sometimes dreams in English. C. She moves to a different host family. The correct answer is B. She sometimes dreams in English. Number 2. What good news does Paula share with Anna in her second month? A. She's moving up one level in class. B. She's staying in Toronto forever. C. She's made many Brazilian friends. The correct answer is A. She's moving up one level in class. Number 3. What makes Paula so happy during her third month in Toronto? A. She gets a perfect score on a test. B. She makes friends in a shop. C. She has a conversation in English without thinking about it. The correct answer is C. She has a conversation in English without thinking about it. Chapter 4: Conclusion and Continuing Journey. In my last week in Toronto, Mr. Brown asks each student to give a short speech about our time in Canada. I am nervous but excited. I prepare my speech carefully. I practice in front of the mirror. I time myself. The speech should be 5 minutes. When it is my turn to speak, I stand in front of the class. I see my friends' faces. I see Mr. Brown smiling. Hi, my name is Paula, I begin. 3 months ago, I came to Toronto with a dream to learn English. My first week here was very hard. I could not understand people. I could not express my thoughts. I felt lost. I tell the class about meeting Mary on the subway, about talking with Yuki, about Mr. Brown's advice to think in English. Now, after 3 months, I am different, I say. I still make mistakes. My English is not perfect, but I can communicate. I can make friends. I can live in an English-speaking city. The class claps when I finish. Mr. Brown says my speech was excellent. I feel proud. My last day in Toronto is sad. I say goodbye to my new friends. We promise to write emails and talk online. I thank the Smith family for their kindness. Mrs. Smith gives me a small maple leaf pin, a symbol of Canada. Remember us when you wear it, she says. I will never forget you, I say. At the airport, I think about my 3 months in Toronto. I remember how scared I felt on my first day. I remember crying in my room. Now I feel strong and confident. On the plane, I write in my journal in English. I write about what I learned. 1. Learning a language takes time and practice. 2. Making mistakes is part of learning. 3. Speaking and listening are as important as reading and studying. 4. Thinking in the new language helps a lot. 5. Don't be afraid to try, even if your language is not perfect. When I get home, my family is waiting at the airport. My mom hugs me tight. You look different, she says in Portuguese. I feel different, I say. That night, I talk to my family about Toronto. I mix Portuguese and English. Sometimes I cannot find the word in Portuguese and use the English word instead. My family laughs, but they are proud of me. The next day, Anna comes to visit. We talk in English for 10 minutes. She is surprised. How did you improve so much? She asks. I tell her about Mr. Brown's advice. Read a lot, listen a lot, speak a lot, and think in English. It's not magic. It's hard work every day. 1 week after coming home, I get an email from Mr. Brown. He asks how I am doing. I write back in English, telling him about my trip home and my family's reaction. At the end of my email, I write, "Thank you for showing me how to really learn a language. I will keep practicing every day. My journey with English is not over. It's just beginning." And that is true. I still study English every day. I read books in English. I watch movies without subtitles. I found an English conversation group in Sao Paulo. I even keep thinking in English sometimes when I am alone. Learning a language is a long journey. There are hard days. There are good days. But if you work hard and use the right ways to learn, you can do it. I did it. You can too. That is my story. Thank you for listening. Comprehension questions. Number 1. What does Mrs. Smith give Paula? A. A small maple leaf pin. B. A photo album. C. A Canadian flag. The correct answer is A. A small maple leaf pin. Number 2. What does Paula do during her last week in Toronto? A. Takes a final exam. B. Goes sightseeing with the Smiths. C. Gives a short speech about her time in Canada. The correct answer is C. Gives a short speech about her time in Canada. Number 3. How does Paula continue learning English after returning to Brazil? A. She enrolls in an expensive English school. B. She calls the Smith family every day. C. She reads books, watches movies, and speaks. The correct answer is C. She reads books, watches movies, and speaks. The end. Thank you for listening to today's story. I hope you liked it. If you have any questions, please leave a comment. I love hearing from all of you. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notifications bell so you never miss a new lesson. See you soon. Bye.